Wait, he squared up with Jason? Wait, whoa. Generic control into that goes me. Here back with another kill count by Dead Meat. Today we're doing 2 more Friday the 13th related things with Jason Takes Manhattan, which I think somebody said in the comment section he doesn't actually go to Manhattan. I've never seen any of these, never heard of these. And then there's also the Final Friday, which had a 4-year time gap in between. And then Jason X will be next week. I've never heard of Jason X. I've never seen that mask before. I'm guessing that's probably not going to be a beloved Jason movie or Friday the 13th movie, but that'll be next week. I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to learn about these as well. You can check my reaction to the last 3 I think I did. I'll leave my reaction to that right up there. Also link down below in the description, and I should make a playlist on my channel for all of my kill counts going in chronological order of when I've reacted to them, including the recounts when I get to those as well. But I do read every single one of your comments, leave them down below. Also shout out to the patrons because they get the videos a day early and a lot of time on Pay-One channel. These videos come out every single Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think last week I said 3:30. That's when Dragon Ball Z Bridge of Kirby comes out. I'm also streaming Undertale for the very first time. This will be my 3rd stream of doing it. I'm doing that at 5 p.m. over on Twitch, link down below description. 30 minutes after this video goes live, so you're watching the first 2.5 hours. I'm live on Twitch right now playing Undertale for the very first time. If you missed that, you check out the Duck Goes game where I'm uploading the VODs on Tuesday. But let's go ahead and jump into Jason Takes Manhattan. Apparently he doesn't go to Manhattan. I went to Manhattan for the first time ever a couple weeks ago.
Welcome to the Kill
or
Count.
not weeks, months ago.
The victims in all our
it was
favorite
August.
movies. I'm James H.
Somehow I took a week off and still got all the videos.
Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
That didn't look like that when I went there.
Jason on a boat. The last Friday
Jason
movie
on
in
a
the 80s,
boat?
it came out in 1989, and in many ways, this film is a milestone in the series. For
Why?
instance, it's the first time Jason was played by a repeat actor, with Kane Hodder reprising the role, which is great.
Oh,
but it's
yeah,
also the film that broke Paramount's reluctant support of the series because it had the lowest box office yet, and also because the movies were getting kind of embarrassing. After this, they'd sell the property off to New Line, and Jason would lie dormant for 4 years before returning to the screen and going to hell.
Which is the
Jason
one we're
Takes
going to do after
Manhattan
this.
is also the most ridiculous movie in the series so far. Jason for
with a title like that,
teleports all over the place now. The ghost of his younger self
just
keeps
teleports?
popping up to check in on leading lady Rennie. We've got hair metal music video sequences, and really, the whole fucking thing is just a mess. But as a kid, I actually really liked this one, mostly because it was something different, and also because I really dug that Metropolis song in the opening credits.
Okay, it's not a bad song. Where's Batman at? I've never seen a Batman movie either, so I don't even know why I said that.
About both of those opinions, so let's quickly move on to the kills.
The kills, which
the movie starts off with a montage
we're gonna get to the
of
recounts.
New York, showing it to be the place of our worst nightmares, a place of muggings and barrels of sewage and junkies. Hey guys, could we hold on that shot of the junkies shooting up for like 10 more minutes?
A candle,
Thank
I
you.
guess.
Yeah, just
Really?
keep it
A candle?
rolling.
I guess
That's
that makes
what the
sense.
people want to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're excited for Jason to get to all these charming locales, you'll have to wait over an hour because this movie's subtitle is just a dirty, dirty lie. Instead, we start right back at home on Crystal Lake, where pretty boy Jim Miller, God, he is really pretty, and his girlfriend Susie Donaldson are getting frisky on his boat. He spooks her
Is
with
she
the tale
related
of
to
Jason
Mr. Beast?
before his anchor drags over an electric cable that brings Jason back to life from
Why
his
is
new
there an
blood
electric
resting place.
cable
He climbs aboard, and
in the
since Jimmy conveniently
lake?
owns an exact replica of his hockey mask, axe mark and all, he suits up and is ready to kill for another 90 minutes. He misses the horny teens with a spear gun, but quickly makes up for it by sticking Jimmy in the gut with the gun itself. This kill actually always really confused me as a kid. I thought that those were fake organs on the gun, and that they were accidentally already there when he stabs Jimmy in the gut. Turns out that's just what spear guns look like.
No,
Either way, Jimmy dies
exactly.
up against the window, rubbing his bloody hand against it
Why?
and leaving a mark. I actually kind of like that shot. Jason goes deckside and finds Susie hiding. He uses the spear he missed with and gives her the most menacingly slow stab I've ever seen.
It's like
she
Brandy.
had time to write a will while he was bringing that thing down on her.
It doesn't even
He
try to
finally
grab
sticks
it or
into
anything.
A fake torso with very prominent fake nipples. Decent start to a Friday movie, and if you like seeing Jason kill people,
Does he sink the boat?
Oh man, do we have the movie for you?
He's on a
The
boat
setup
a
kills
lot,
out of
I'm
the way,
guessing.
we wander
Why?
into plot territory, where we meet the star of the show, Rennie. She's coming aboard this high school graduation cruise ship, awesome.
Who
Even though
gets
her
that?
Uncle Charles, who's also a teacher, doesn't want her to, since she's afraid of water. But her other teacher, Colleen, is adamant about it, so Rennie takes her pup
I'm
Toby
pretty sure
and
human
joins the rest
bodies
of her graduating class, which is like a
almost
dozen
80%
people, I
water.
guess, including her boyfriend Sean, who has a hard time opening doors. His dad is the captain of the ship and apparently an admiral. I don't know in what navy, but it doesn't matter. Let's get this ship on the road. Now everyone knows, of course, that Crystal Lake is attached to the ocean or a river or some
There
body
ain't
of
no
water
way.
that leads to New York City, right? So
No.
it makes total and complete sense
No.
when Jason just drifts into harbor and climbs aboard the SS Teen Victim. Yeah. It sets sail, and Jason wastes
Okay.
no time finding his
How
next
does he get
victim,
aboard
hair
when
rocker
nobody's seen him?
JJ, who's jamming out in the bowels of the ship. A guitar to
That's
the
a
face
weird place
stops
to
her
do that.
rocking and her life.
Oh,
Don't
nice.
worry, JJ. Jason saved you some embarrassment. Hair metal was on its way out.
JJJ,
Thanks, Nirvana.
wow.
As night descends, the rest of the ship is pretty poppin'. There's an underground
Like
boxing
Jaren
circuit
Jackson
where
Jr.
champion Julius reigns supreme. He's getting adored by these two ladies with big old ladies' hair. They're both super stereotypical. The blonde Tamara is, of course, the bitchy prom queen.
Talking to the prom queen, Eva.
And the Asian
Oh,
chick,
yeah.
played by Kelly Hu, guess what she's worried about?
It's not that. It's
Being
just,
like her?
If we get caught, I could lose my science scholarship and everything.
Great
Wow,
character.
stereotypes.
While they're doing bumps of nose candy, Rennie is
Oh?
seeing images of childhood Jason that are hilariously cheesy. We don't get another kill until 30 minutes in when Jason
I did
comes
not
upon
expect
the
to see
boxing guy
bumps.
that Julius defeated earlier and sticks a sauna rock through his chest. I don't know what I like more, the guy wriggling violently or the fact
Why
that
did he
his
take it
organs
off?
were apparently flammable. Also, that looked like a shitty cruise ship on the outside, but it's got a sauna on board? Sign me up.
Yeah,
Then we
no.
have Tamara really leaning into the blonde bitch role by pushing Rennie into the water, where we get more cheesy child Jason, followed by some bloody sink water, and
Oh.
don't worry, even more cheesy kid Jason when he comes out of the mirror and has a gay old time choking Rennie. Seriously, that kid looks like he's having a blast. Good for him. You gotta make sure kids have enough playtime in their development, you know?
Okay.
Tamara solidifies
Well,
her
the
blonde
lights.
bitch bona fides by blackmailing Charles with geeky Wayne and his video camera. And
I'm sorry,
this
what?
doesn't really go
What?
anywhere
What?
because in the very next scene, Jason
dies.
busts in on her
Yeah.
after a shower, breaks apart her bathroom mirror, and then stabs her with a shard of the broken glass.
Why?
I know she was a bitchy antagonist, but this kill
that-
always made
that-
me
I feel
feel
like
bad. Something about how
that's
sharp
symbolic.
that glass looks, and also the way she's cowered up in that corner crying for mercy. Way to affect me emotionally, Jason Takes Manhattan. The ship heads into a storm, which is the perfect time to end
Honestly,
the killings. So
Jason on a
takes
cruise
it
ship
to the
would be
bridge.
kinda cool,
First,
like an
he
actual
kills
cruise
Chief
ship with,
Engineer
like,
Jim
thousands of
Carlson
people.
with a harpoon to the back multiple times. Just really getting in there and making sure the job's done. I do
Stirring
like the
it.
fact that this is shot from outside the bridge and is nearly silent. It's a nice touch. He then makes the captain go down with the ship by slitting Admiral Robertson's
Even though
throat
he
with a
didn't even
machete.
touch him,
This is
but-
one of the kills they do in choppy slow motion for some reason. Maybe so we can enjoy this guy's acting.
Who does not do this? No. If somebody does that, do you really
Sean
go?
finds the bodies, and after some understandable freaking out, seeing his dad's dead body and all, he summons all the teens to the bridge to tell them there's a killer on board.
Oh, great, you're all
Julius
in one
takes a
spot.
leadership role, which leads to one of the few times in the series where people actually arm up and go after
Let's
Jason,
go. It's not
which,
gonna do
you know,
anything.
it's
He's a
kinda cool.
zombie.
Their man-child hunt doesn't do any good for Eva, though, who wanders onto an 80s dance floor of death, where Jason teleports around the room multiple times before
Is it
raising her into
yours?
the air and strangling her to death, saving her from having to listen to any
Don't
more
try
of
to
that
kick him or
shitty,
anything.
shitty 80s music. By the way,
I agree
Kelly
with him.
Hu is a pro. Her body looks lifeless AF when Jason drops her to the floor there. While on the hunt for Jason, we get one of those random non-Jason kills after
Wait,
nerdy
he has a-
Wayne loses his glasses and blindly shoots a random crew member to death.
Oh,
Sucks for this crew member. He's in a Jason movie and he doesn't even get killed by Jason. Also, Wayne, that's manslaughter, dude. Good luck defending yourself in maritime
Literally.
court. Oh wait, you're probably not gonna have to worry about that since
He's
Jason
not gonna live
shows
much
up and
longer.
tosses
Yeah,
him
he
into the
literally
ship's
filmed
circuit
him
board or whatever,
committing
resulting in an
crime.
immediate electrical explosion in true Friday the 13th fashion. An artsy close-up on Wayne's hand as he dies almost tricks the audience into caring about him, but not really. I mean, he was a fucking nerd. Underdeveloped character Miles is the next guy to go. He climbs the mast of the
Dude,
ship
why
to get
is
away from
Jason
Jason,
so
but that doesn't help
silent?
because,
I guess
guys,
raining.
Did we mention that Jason can definitely teleport now? Because he does. He teleports right up the mast and tosses Miles down onto a weather vane, killing him.
Oh.
A lot of the kills in this movie were censored by the ratings board, just like with part 7, but I kind of like the way this one is shot. Jason then throws Julius overboard, but don't worry, he'll be back later on in the best scene of this movie.
Oh, really?
Well, then he gets attacked
Okay.
by Jason.
I thought they
and
might have done, like,
hallucinates
a
that swampy little
stereotypical
boy
thing
version
there.
Some more. Uncle Charles
Glad
is
they
trying to
didn't.
hunt down the deckhand, who he thinks is responsible for the murders. To be fair, the deckhand is not great at making himself look not shady.
Oh, nice. What do you have? A knife.
But alas, Charles is proven wrong when the deckhand stumbles into view with an axe through his back. I'd
Oof.
say that's pretty conclusive evidence that he is not, in fact, the murderer.
That does not
Good
look
job,
like a real
deckhand.
axe
The
at
court
all.
of dead meat finds you not guilty.
12
Just
kills
really
already.
dead.
Now
Oh,
we're
yeah.
in.
Also, you might remember there were a bunch of other kids. They were like white people dancing on the ship before. Apparently, they all drowned.
Oh, wait!
Wait,
I left the others in the restaurant.
There is no more restaurant.
I'm not gonna count those.
What do you mean
because
there's-
who knows how many red shirts that was, but kind of unceremonious of the film to do that when they could have gotten a lot
Would that
more
count
fun
under the
kills.
rules now?
It is finally time, to abandon this lame-ass cruise ship.
To get
And
on another
remember,
boat.
This is a full hour into the movie.
Yeah,
The survivors
how
get
long is
onto
the
a
actual movie?
lifeboat, rescuing Julius in the process, and row their asses for an entire day and night until they reach New York City, or rather alleyways in Vancouver, because that's all they could afford. Jason inexplicably follows them and has a cute moment with a billboard.
So
Then
is he
Rennie
actually
gets
in
kidnapped by those
Manhattan?
junkies
Oh.
and holy shit, forcefully drugged?
Oh,
Wow, Jason Takes
what?
Manhattan, you really went there. Jason shows up and saves her, first sticking a needle through Holmes's back when he's trying
Ah,
to force himself onto Rennie because might as well make that scene even more horrific with some attempted rape. Pretty bad.
Yeah,
Jason's
that
the good guy.
entire scene should just get cut out.
Mad that Jason's on his turf, so he shoots him a couple of times before Jason slams his head into a pipe. The guy should have known. I'm sure everyone always told him he would die if he kept hitting that pipe. Just kidding. They weren't smoking crack. They were shooting up heroin. Rennie runs away, saved by Jason.
It's really
Thanks,
bad.
Jason. Now it's finally time for that awesome scene I teased earlier. And for once, I'm not liking something ironically. Julius runs into Jason on a rooftop and decides to put his boxing skills to the test.
Wait, he squared up with Jason
for over a minute straight. He just really gives it to him, jabbing him in the face, giving him a bunch of
like punching somebody with a helmet
over and over again across this rooftop.
Does that not hurt his hands?
By the long shots, the total lack of music, and the fact that
Jason's like, I like your spunk.
Taking all these punches in real life. Julius finally gets tired and gives one badass final line.
Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
Before Jason obliges and KOs him with a single decapitating punch, putting a neat little button on this wonderful sequence. Best part of it all, he didn't even litter. Jason is one thoughtful
in the
tool.
trash can.
At this point, I look at the runtime and shriek because there's still 25 minutes left of this movie. I don't know how, but let's do it. Okay, a friendly Irish cop tries to help out the remaining survivors, but gets ambushed by Jason, who drags him off into an alley and kills him off screen.
I was about to say the
I'm
cord.
sure that guy was just a week away from retirement. Rennie climbs over the seat in this very realistic cop car and first hits adult real Jason, and then slams into child fake Jason in his most hilarious appearance yet. This causes her to slam the car into a fiery mess, which explodes and kills Colleen. Man, another accidental death. This time at the hands of our protagonist.
That would not happen.
Up, Jason, you're letting other people rack up kills in your movie.
That would just not happen.
Remembering how much of a dick Uncle Charles was and why she's having these hallucinations in the first place. So she runs off, and Sean follows after pushing Charles into a pile of shredded paper. Jason then chases Charles, teleporting into the second story of a building and throwing him out of it, then picking him up and drowning him in a barrel of sewage. Take that,
with the dead rat.
Your
why is green?
Method is definitely cause for you to be violently drowned in a septic liquid by a terrifying serial killer.
What happened to the barrel?
Better watch out, parents who spank your kids. Jason's coming for you next. With that, we have the final girl circuit beginning in earnest. Jason chases Rennie and Sean onto a subway where they try to kill him by knocking him onto the third rail. Yeah, like he's never been electrocuted before. Then we get one of the best shots of the entire series in one of the very few scenes they actually were able to shoot in New York. That is Jason Voorhees in the middle of actual Times Square. Despite how bad this movie is, there's no denying how awesome that image is. It's only cheapened a little bit by this hokey bit where Jason shows his face to some punks, causing them to run away in a very Scooby-Doo-like manner. Oh, also this happens.
You a dead meat slime bag.
And it's me again. They said the name. Rennie and Sean run into a diner, and after Jason follows them inside,
dude, do you not know how to use doors?
Thrown into a mirror. I didn't think that
I've seen him walk through multiple doors.
The internet is telling me it does, so fuck it. Here's another death. But seriously, look at the size of that dude. You think he's gonna die from that? Bullshit. Rennie and Sean wind up in the sewers, where the film tries to sell us an even bigger crock of shit than Crystal Lake's supposed passageway to the Atlantic.
Toxic waste, son. The sewer floods out with this stuff every night at midnight.
Yeah.
Really?
The sewer floods out with toxic waste every night at midnight.
Why?
Okay. Jason then accosts this sewer worker and, much like the cop, drags him off screen to kill him with a wrench. Although this time we at least get this Hitchcockian silhouette of the kill. Rennie manages to fight back a little, splashing toxic waste into Jason's face, which causes him to rip his mask off and reveal a very dumb-looking face. Wish they had stuck with that gnarly face from part 7, but what are you gonna do? Jason still almost gets Rennie and Sean before the giant toxic waste flood starts barreling towards them, looking like the Shining.
You think there'd be a warning sign somewhere?
It overcomes Jason and lights him on fire? What? And in the end, somehow reverts him back to his childlike form? Did it really happen? Is it another one of her delusions? Who the fuck cares? This entire shit show makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, no.
Why the fuck was it 100 minutes
credits?
long? Fuck this movie. Let's do the numbers.
Yeah.
20 people die in Jason Takes Manhattan.
How many on the boat?
18 of them from Jason and 2 of them from accidents. Although Wayne would definitely go to prison for that shit. The victims are male, with only 5 of them female, the biggest gender imbalance of victims in one of these films yet. At an unreasonable runtime of 100 minutes, we come out to a death on average every 5 minutes, which is on the quicker side for the series.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna give the golden chainsaw to Julius, because it's such a great moment in the series, and the actor really sells his macho character. Lame as Death has a lot to choose from, but since I didn't even think he was killed, I have to give it to the diner chef.
Yeah,
Fun
no,
fact,
that's
though, that actor,
fair.
Ken Kersinger, would end up replacing Hodder as Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. And that's
really?
it. At least in 1989, Friday the 13th.
I think I watched the
Nostalgia
Nostalgia Critics Freddy vs. Jason video.
Wait, what's that? We're doing Jason Goes to Hell next?
Is that the next one?
Join me next week for what may be the worst
They were
film
putting
in the
these out
series.
every
Until
week?
then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
That's
Thank you guys
insane.
for watching The Kill Count for Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason
Was it the
Takes
only,
Manhattan.
like,
What do you
series
guys
they were
think
doing?
of this movie? Oh, this movie's a fucking mess. I know a lot of it was because of budget issues.
I mean,
but some of those
1989, what was the
decisions
budget?
Didn't have to do with money. I'm talking about little boy Jason laying on the floor of a sewer in his underwear. That's not a money issue.
In
That's a
toxic
thinking
waste.
issue. See you next week in hell.
It's a thinking issue. Oh my god.
Welcome to The Kill Count, where we
Hi,
tell
James.
the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and have we got a treat for you today? We're looking at Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday,
but it's
released
not.
in 1993, and a movie so ridiculous
Still
and
before I was
different
born.
that I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about it. Like I mentioned last episode, Paramount was done with Friday the 13th after
They sold
Jason
it
Takes
to-
Manhattan stumbled into the lowest box office take of the series. New Line
Which
Cinema ended up with
was
the rights and
deserved.
decided it was a good idea to put a 23-year-old first-time director in charge of their very first Jason movie. What could go wrong?
Wait, they put a
Turns out a lot.
23?
Looking
That's
to create a different kind of
crazy.
Friday the 13th movie, Adam Marcus largely succeeded in doing so, mostly because Jason's only in about 10 minutes of the movie. But instead of a copycat killer like Roy Burns, in this movie, Jason Voorhees is more like a disembodied evil spirit that can possess different people and use them as vessels
Why?
of murder. It's
Why?
exactly as absurd as it sounds, and on
Why?
top of all that, the film tries to establish a mythology
Is this
surrounding
canon?
Voorhees' blood out of thin air. Quick note here, the Blu-ray box set, which is what I've been working from for this series, only has the R-rated version of this movie for some reason. Knowing how drastically different the kills were, I hunted down a DVD of the unrated version.
What's a DVD?
And I'll be working from that. It's a little bit lower resolution, but it makes a world of difference because it has some of the best gore in the series. Like, we're talking
Wait,
some
but it
seriously
wasn't in the
gruesome
other one?
kills. Speaking of which, let's get to them already.
Okay.
The movie opens deceptively like any other Friday film. Attractive woman, albeit one dressed like she belongs in Hey Arnold, goes to a cabin on Crystal Lake, gets naked, gets attacked by Jason. Great start. This is what we're
Normal.
all familiar with.
Yeah.
Only something's a little off.
The formula
It's
doesn't
definitely not
change.
that gravity-defying towel. Nope. Turns out this woman leads Jason into a trap because she's actually an FBI agent who can do badass somersaults. What seems
Why
like
did
the
you even-
entire FBI then pops up
Was
out
that
of
a Smith &
bushes and
Wesson
drops down from
500?
trees to shoot Jason with every gun imaginable before finally blowing him to shitterines. Now, because his body gets so decimated here, I'm gonna count Jason as the film's first victim here. coming
no,
in
he
at a
definitely
cool
is.
7 minutes in. Yes, I know his heart is still beating. I can inflate my body counts if I want to. I'm the one doing all the damn work here. After
Blue-
the opening
Mrs.
credits,
Blue.
which are intercut with the coroner's report, we dive headfirst into Crazy Town when Coroner Phil gets mesmerized by Jason's beating heart and promptly eats it like a savage dog.
Oh,
What happens when you don't have
that's
paid
disgusting.
bunkerings? It's a
Why?
super nasty sequence, even nastier in the unrated version, and honestly, it's kind of amazing. Now, there's some dispute online.
I
when to
am
count death for
uncomfortable.
people possessed by Jason. Seems like a lot of people do it when he possesses them, but I'm gonna do it after he leaves their body because I don't know, that makes more sense to me. Fight
It does.
With that rule
It
in
does. It
place,
makes
our
more
second
sense, but
victim
yeah.
is the assistant coroner, but only after he tells Jason how he really feels.
You know what I'd like to do to you? I'd like to take a crap right on your fucking mask.
Fun fact, dude was played by the guy who wrote this movie, and faux Jason does to him what his screenplay does to storytelling. Absolutely butchers him. He smashes his face against a grate and stabs him through the neck with a probe thing. Like I said, guys,
Ugh.
great gore. Look at those pieces of face just jammed
That's
right in
insane.
there. Jason, who for whatever reason is revealed in reflections, like a reverse vampire or something,
I guess,
goes to
yeah.
leave, but reveals how petty he is when he stops to kill a couple of security guards who talk shit about him.
The security guards or cops?
Big old pussy anyway.
The cut to a crime show is pretty great, and even better is that the big security guard right there is Kane Hodder himself. I wonder how he
Oh,
feels
really?
about getting an off-screen death like that. Probably cries about it over all his Jason money. A douchey newscaster tells the world about these kills, and by the way, how do they have this footage of the assistant?
How are you
coroner?
allowed to
When
show
did they
that?
shoot that? And then
I
he
don't
interviews
know.
Creighton Duke, a bounty hunter obsessed with Jason, and the best part of this movie.
And I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Jason Voorhees.
Well, that makes me think of a little girl in a pink dress
Why?
sticking a hot dog through a donut.
We'll get plenty more Duke, so don't you worry. Over at a diner near Crystal Lake
Jason's
that's treating
dead.
Jason's death very respectfully, we meet
Yeah, of
waitress
course.
Diana and the rest of the staff, including fellow waitress Vicky, Joey, the brash owner, Joey's husband Shelby, who's played by Leslie Jordan, and their son Ward, who looks about as Midwestern as you can get. Duke tries to recruit Diana to help him hunt down Jason because, surprise, she's Jason's half-sister that's never been mentioned before. Then
How
we
did
meet
he figure that
Steven,
out?
Who is the ex-lover and baby daddy of Diana's daughter, Jessica. Yep, got that right. And on his way to go meet Diana to find
Whoa.
out some cryptic information information, he stops and picks up some sexy hitchhikers who are headed to Crystal Lake now that Jason's
Why would-
dead. He drops them off without taking up Alexis's totally random offer for sex. Good thing he doesn't, because after giving the tent to her camping buddies for some pork in the woods, she winds up getting her face slashed a whole bunch of times with a scalpel by coroner guy Jason. Her body is later shown against a tree. In the tent, Debbie and Luke have
they just straight up show
the
it.
most explicit sex scene of the series so far, if you're watching the unrated version. Both actors were actually naked for it, which may have been a little awkward since they had actually been a real-life couple just recently broken up.
Wait,
In movie, they decided to forego protection, which fake Jason doesn't care for at all. So he grabs a signpost and impales Deborah through the back, then yanks the pole upward and rips her in half. This only happens in the unrated version and is probably the single biggest difference between the two cuts. Brutal. I love this kid. Luke screams his bloody face off, but coroner Jason kills him off screen. I guess
the
his head
fact
gets
that in real
crushed,
life,
kinda hear a
they were a
crunch.
couple that broke up,
But
and then they had to
nothing's
film
confirmed, so I
together?
can't say for sure. Back at the restaurant,
That's
coroner
crazy.
Jason tracks down his sister and stalks her from the woods. For some reason, he lets her get away, instead opting to kill this chick Edna by slamming her head in a car door. It looks pretty bad when you freeze frame it like this, and you know what? That's not necessarily a fatal injury. In fact, it happened to me in high school. Just left a giant mark on my forehead for a week, that's all. Fake Jason kidnaps Josh the cop, and in a delightfully homoerotic scene, bounds him to a table, shaves his face, then open mouth kisses him. The kiss was to transfer Jason's soul to Josh's body, so with that, I'll count the coroner
I'm like,
as being dead.
that's so
I'm beginning
odd.
to see the error of my ways here. Not much to show right now when this spirit transference thing happens off screen, but oh well. Diana
he
talks
leave
to her
his
daughter
socks on,
Jessica
though?
on the phone, who would be Jason's half-niece, I think. Oh, and hey look, Jessica has a little baby Voorhees. Anywho, policeman
Oh, no.
Jason shows up and attacks Diana and almost slips her the tongue before Steven walks in and tackles him like a boss. Steven may look like a nerd, but he's actually kind of a badass, you'll see. Regardless,
for him.
Diana gets a knife sharpener thrown into her back, and although Steven is able to impale cop Jason and throw him out a window, Diana still dies.
You know how hard it is to
Steven
throw
for
a
dying
human?
words to protect Jessica. I think the saddest thing here is that she died in her picnic blanket waitress uniform. Sheriff Ed shows up, and since police Jason's body has disappeared like Michael Myers, Steven is caught red-handed. He's taken to jail and locked up, reminding me
Might
of
be
Tommy
safe there,
Jarvis in part
but
6,
the
way
cop
back
is
when these movies
Jason.
actually had Jason in them. Good times. Steven's jailmate is Creighton Duke, who's all sorts of crazy, giving Steven exposition at the cost of breaking his fingers. Why? Because he's crazy. I just told you. What kind of information does a couple of broken fingers
Why
buy
do you...
Those FBI idiots destroyed Jason's body.
You just
Somebody
want
needs a new one. The ones he's jumping in and out of, they can't last. Jason needs to be reborn.
How do you know this?
Jessica.
Because you read the
Oh,
script?
so bullshit. Steven accosts his buddy Officer Randy and breaks out of jail to sneak into the Diner of Sensitivity.
The fuck is that?
It's Jessica's baby.
Get it the fuck out. This is a restaurant, not a fucking nursery.
Where he sees his baby daughter before Ward shoos him away.
Kids.
Then he heads to the Voorhees house, which all of a sudden exists and is a thing, and after
It should be
leaping through
burned
the
down.
Necronomicon, falls through some floorboards in the closet. From there, he witnesses douchebag anchor Robert Campbell get attacked by policeman Jason, who then totally French kisses him and transfers Jason's soul into his body. Officer Josh's body then just fucking melts, sticking to the floor and having his jaw come off.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is some
ugh.
sweet Cronenberg-like body horror there, guys. Appreciate it. It's good. And it's even extended in the unrated version. Great. Oh yeah, while watching this, Diana's body falls onto Steven and into the
don't know what
basement.
that sound
That'll
is.
come back later. Anchor
I live
Jason
alone.
gets up
I
and
should be
leaves,
hearing
heading
sounds.
to Jessica's house while she's having a good shower cry. Just let it
Ah,
out, Jess.
like a pro.
Anchor Jason tries to suck face, but Steven intervenes a second time and saves her. She doesn't believe him about all
Does
this
he
Jason
just-
who he
how does he
knows,
know
so she pushes him out of the
which
car
one's
and leaves
Jason?
him on the side of the road, running straight to Sheriff Ed at the police station, who sends Officer Randy out to arrest Steven. They wrestle around a bit like they're the best of friends and have a scene with some actually good banter.
I got a gun. I got a gun.
When Steven finds out Jessica's at the station, he turns himself in, but before they can make it back, Anchor Jason arrives and busts Officer Ryan's head against the locker, killing
That's
her
fine.
with a move many nerds survive just fine in high school. So maybe up that recruiting process a little bit, huh? Steven shows up, gives Officer Randy the old hopping elbow, then shoots Anchor
Yeah,
Jason
no.
a bunch of times against the wall. He and Jessica
That
escape,
doesn't
leaving
do
these
anything,
poor
though.
cop bastards to deal with the body. Jason wakes up from his disco nap and crushes their heads together, killing
Does-
them both. They never really
I guess he
stood a
doesn't need the
chance,
body.
but at least they got
I wonder
to
how
die
long
together.
he
That's kinda
lasts
nice.
with the body.
Also, Creighton clotheslines his way to freedom. Back at the
Nice.
diner for the caring and empathetic,
Don't move a fucking muscle, either of you.
Why is everybody packing
Shut up.
heat?
You're with him.
Steven and Jessica are just trying to get their baby, man, when
That's a
fake
big
Jason
gun.
shows
Is that
up and starts
Beretta?
a wholesale
No.
massacre. First is Ward, who gets his hand broken at the wrist and his body thrown against the door. I feel like that's still a fixable injury, but you know what? Probably not on any healthcare that Ward has, so sure, that's
Fair.
a kill. Then what follows is a ridiculous
by
slow motion
financial
shootout scene. It's slow
bankruptcy.
motion for so long, you'd think it was a mistake, but really, Lastly, just remember, 23-year-old first-time director.
Shotgun.
Only in the unrated version do you get the next step. A
double
random
barrel
nameless
shotgun.
patron who it looks like was killed by stray buckshot from Vicky's shotgun.
That's fair.
That's a real bummer.
Why do
man.
you have
go to your favorite
buckshot?
date for a cup of coffee and get shot by the waitress.
Why do you
Jason
have
ignores
buckshot
Vicky for now, opting instead
in
to
a
kill
sawed-off
Shelby.
in a
He
diner?
grabs his head and straight up deep fries him, extra crispy, eventually tossing his body on
Well, I
the
guess
grill. He
the
died
other
as he
one would be
lived,
a
grilling
slug.
meat. Anchor Jason takes care of Joey with a single elbow to the mouth, bashing her face in. And I'm sorry, that makeup effect is weird and confusing. I don't like it. Looks like she has a golf ball in her mouth. Vicky continues to be a badass, shooting fake Jason with her shotgun and jabbing him with a metal rod. But she gets too close, and fake Jason pulls her onto the pipe, impaling her
course.
through the
Of
gut
course.
and making her
Just
spit
had
up
to do
blood
that.
in the unrated version. He then pops her head like a pimple. Lots of blood there. Great.
Oh.
kill. And hey, she went out with a fun little quip.
Go to hell.
Fake Jason
You're
passes
still talking?
out like a freshman after his first frat party, and Jessica runs away, headed to the Voorhees house alone to get her baby, just like the nice note told her to. The writer of the note was noted.
So let me
crazy man
guess,
Creighton
the
Duke,
baby's
who's
gonna
probably not
try
the
to
first
become
guy
the
you'd
next
wanna call
Jason.
to be your babysitter. He gives her the whole breakdown. Jason's spirit possesses people, and he can only be fully reborn or ultimately killed by another Voorhees. In other words, give that baby a dagger. Just kidding. He gives Jessica the dagger, which turns into a magical Power Ranger sword.
Okay,
And
now
then he
that
falls
is
through those
ridiculous.
shitty-ass floorboards, injuring his leg
Wha-
in the process. Back at the diner, a first-person point-of-view shot checks out all the bodies before getting ambushed by Anchor Jason, who then transfers his soul off-screen, giving us the death of Robert Campbell and just, like, really reiterating to me how
Between
flawed
5
this
minutes.
kill-counting method is. I'm sorry. At the Voorhees house, Sheriff Ed shows up acting a little crazy, and then Officer Randy shows up acting a little less crazy. And Jessica can't trust either of them, even though both of them are acting way less crazy than anyone else possessed by Jason thus
Yeah,
far.
like I
Ed
said,
ends
how do
up
you know-
stabbing himself on Jessica's dagger, like something out of Cell Block Tango, which is the first time I've seen a police officer do a suicide by cop. Then this movie's like fuck continuity and reveals that the normal acting Randy actually is possessed by Jason. He grabs the
really?
baby and
It is
prepares
him.
to get weird with it, but Steven shows up to knock that shit off for the third time, stopping him with a machete slice to the neck. Officer Randy is ultimately killed when this horrid fucking spawn from your worst fucking nightmares crawls out of his fucking neck. Jesus, that thing's
what
nasty.
does that remind me
that?
of?
Jason? Is that
It's like
Jason?
Resident
Fuck.
Evil 4.
Whatever it is, it crawls around and plays hide and seek and hops on
Ew,
his
that
face
thing
before
is-
he throws it in the basement, where it eventually enters Diana's corpse via very unsavory means.
Oh
Oof.
my
Since Diana
God.
is a Voorhees, and since the movie tells us this little tidbit now,
That part about being reborn through a Voorhees woman, does it have to be a living woman?
Jason gets resurrected in full-on Jason form.
Wait,
Hockey
he's
mask and
completely-
everything.
where'd
He
the
kills
hockey
Creighton
mask come
Duke
from?
with a big old bear hug. Unrated version has some blood spit up, but it's still a lame way to go for one of the absolute
They had to take
coolest
that
and
out?
most memorable characters in the entire franchise. Rest in peace, Creighton. Steven, continually the badass, tackles Jason through a window and engages in a fight that would have killed most people in the series, distracting Jason
In
long
the
enough
series,
for
yeah.
Jessica to find her Power Ranger dagger and stab Jason in the chest. His soul, like,
the
erupts from
effects.
his body, looking like a bunch of Roman candles popping off into the sky.
It does,
Falcon
kind of.
kick seals the deal, causing like a bunch of different colored lights to go from the sky.
Now he's
into
extra
Jason.
dead.
I don't know. What's going on here? Then a bunch of those hands from Labyrinth pop up and pull him underground. And with that, I'll count
okay.
Jason once again on the kill count. But don't worry, Jason. It's only forever. Not long
They're
at
gonna
all.
grow a
With
Jason
taken
tree.
care of, the movie literally ends with our heroes walking off into the sunrise together.
The
Because
sunrise,
once
not
more,
the sunset.
First time 23-year-old director. Oh, except one more thing. Freddy fucking Krueger's glove pops up and drags Jason's mask to hell. Yeah, boy! Too bad audiences would have to wait a decade to see their matchup finally come to fruition.
Why?
In the meantime, we've got this mess to deal with. So
Why
let's
the
do
Freddy
those numbers.
Krueger in that? The deal between Freddy Krueger, was that already like
This
made?
one's kind of difficult to quantify, what with the possessions and the different versions, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that 24 kills happened, including Jason himself twice. 7 of the victims were girls and 17 of them guys, a pretty damn imbalanced gender ratio. The unrated version runs 90 minutes long, so that's a kill on
Wow,
average every
okay.
3.75 minutes, making this the entry with the most frequent kills in the series so far. Golden
Maybe that's
Chainsaw's
why they had
been
to wait
tough here,
a
given all
decade.
the awesome kills. I'll give out 2. For the R-rated version, I'll hand it to Josh's body, which melts into the floor and leaves its
That's
jaw behind.
just- I don't
absolutely
like
love
sticky
that
things.
shit, and I'm shocked that that was in the R-rated cut. The unrated version, though, has Deborah's split in half situation that may just be the coolest kill of the whole series. Conversely,
I mean,
Doll
the effects
Machete
are
will
pretty
go to
good, too.
Deborah's lover Luke, since it's done entirely off screen. And that's it. Released in 1993, written in just 4 days, no joke, and directed
It was
and crewed
written
by a
in
bunch of
4
kids who weren't even
days.
old enough to run for Congress. Jason Goes
True.
to Hell is a very divisive movie. So divisive, in fact, that I'm still not
What is your
entirely
opinion
sure
on
how
it?
I feel about it.
I read
think
all your
don't like
comments,
it.
and I'll be
I
sure
want
to
to give a shout out to
5
Play
p.m.
Disgusting for their continual promotion of my videos. Thanks so much, guys. I wouldn't have my audience without you.
That's
Next
cool.
week, we're going off to space in Jason X, and
That-
until then,
Space?
I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count.
Jason's going to
Hey guys, thanks a
space?
lot for watching the Kill Count for Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. While watching it, I was super bored. But then while editing it, I came to kind of like it a little bit. I mean, the kills are great. It's also probably the best
he did
acting
all
in
the
series.
editing himself,
But man,
too?
that plot
And he
and
put
the
out one of these
weird
every week.
mythology.
That's
And I
crazy.
just can't get over not having Jason on screen for that long. But I want to know what you guys think, so let me know. Next week is Jason X. See you then.
Whatever. Oh, there we go with that. There's all my playlists. I have a lot of playlists. I do a lot of videos, and yeah, this year I've done over 900 videos, close to, by this point, probably close to 900 videos. I will do over 900 in total. That means the last 13 months I've done 1,000 videos, which is insane. I've read 50,000 comments this year, which is crazy to think about. I also live stream 4 times a week, and I do it all myself. Like I said, shout out to the patrons. I hope that you're subscribed as we approach 100,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone. So thank you so much for everyone that shows support and watches these videos. I really hope that you enjoy them as I learn a lot about, you know, horror movies that I never watched, never even heard of. I had no idea they made this many Friday 13th movies. Not a clue. I knew if they made some, like I knew Jason was like a character, but until like Death Battle, I really wasn't familiar with him at all. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not prepared for Jason X. I don't know if you are as well, but I hope to see you there. But until then, take care and cue the music.